Hi, everybody. I'm Rebecca Richards here with my wonderful BGA co-director, Dean Storer, and we would like to invite or welcome you to the Bits and Pieces virtual reception. And we have a nice evening planned. We're going to have several artists who are in the show speak about their work, and also a handful of artists who are offering workshops will speak about their workshops as well as their work in the show. And before we get started and talking about sort of the idea for the show and the inception and so on, Dean and I do want to, it's really important that we give some big shout outs and thank yous to people who helped make this happen. I think most of the community that we work with know that I was badly injured and broke my wrist and had surgery in early March. This was all very unexpected, and we had to call upon our wonderful community of artists and BGA supporters to help because I was unable to do the on-site work here in Belmont, while Dean was able to put together a magnificent virtual gallery show for Bits and Pieces. And so just bear with me for a few seconds. First of all, I have to thank our board member and artist, Richard Hill, who did a magnificent job of hanging the show. And he basically did it. Bert gave him some bits of advice, but Richard really hung and placed everything in that show himself. And it was a huge amount of work for one person to do. As those of you who have been through the show have seen, there's a lot of work up there. So Richard gets a huge amount of credit. Secondly, I have to thank the wonderful Bert Halstead, who, when we reached out to him, he didn't hesitate to say, I'll help in whatever way you need. And he was there on site at the BGA helping with the labels, and he helped Richard sort of place like some of the curation of where things would go in the gallery. So Bert, I can't thank you enough. Thank you so, so much. You were really tremendous.
Bert's also been scurrying around last minute things. I'll send him labels and, oh, wait,
Yes,
can you move
yes,
this? Can you take a photo of that? Can you do
yes,
this? And
yes, just so wonderful.
he's been wonderful. I
And
really
add,
appreciate all the help.
so intake and drop off, Cynthia Brody, artist Cynthia Brody, she jumped in to help wherever was needed. Kirsten Ilse was there to help as well. And we had a young student from Mass Art, Annette Javelis, who was there also helping out. I want to make sure I haven't forgotten anybody. So thank you. Dean and I were sort of joking about, you know, how it takes a village to raise a child. But in this case, I think it takes, you know, a village, or it took a village to really make this art exhibit come together. So thank you so very much, everybody. And it really warmed our hearts, and it made us realize that there's such a strong sense of community connected to the BGA. So thank you, everybody. So, Dean, should we talk about Bits and Pieces?
How did it all come together?
How did it all come together? How did it come together? Well, we were inspired by some art that was submitted for a previous show. I believe that was one of the ideas.
That's true.
That's true. And I think we wanted to do something different, separate from painting and photography. That's true. And also for a few years, we had been talking about repurposed materials and sort of making use of found objects and other things. So when we saw some mosaic pieces, we started thinking, can we make that part of what we want to do? And did we?
It all came together.
It all came together. And this was, in some ways, a lot of fun for us to review the work because it was different in so many ways. And I think a lot of people are responding also to the fact that there's a lot of three-dimensional work in the show. I think people are enjoying that. And the work we got, I mean, it was wonderful. So we always have an abundance of riches, I think, you know, of work to choose from.
That's
and
true.
Yeah, so, and as everybody knows, but we did limit it to, you know, really mosaic work, collage and assemblage. And I think initially we were wondering, are we going to get, you know, what's the response going to be like? But it was actually a very, very strong response. So, Dean.
Well, I know, shall we segue on to, we've had artists step forward and offer these wonderful workshops, and I just wanted to highlight for everybody the different things that are available First of all, there is one place you can go to see it all, which is it's the virtualbga.org/events. There's an events page which shows everything. We thought if the various instructors are here, perhaps they could
They have all
give
kinds
us a
of
couple of
classes.
words. The first workshop that's coming up, hard on our heels, is Amy Mark's workshop this weekend on Saturday. It's from 9:30 until 4:30 at her studio, which, I mean, I would die to see. And it's a
I have to give these a
mosaic
shot.
mirror, make a mosaic mirror.
Yes. So I wanted to show you some samples of mirrors that you could make. I made this one, and I also made this one.
It's beautiful.
And students don't need any experience with art or mosaics. It's really a blast. And you'll go home with a finished mirror. So I hope to see you on Saturday.
At your
Perfect for
studio
Mother's
in
Day.
Newton, right?
It's
Waltham.
actually in Waltham,
Oh, Waltham, okay,
right on the
Riverview.
Waltham Auburndale line.
okay.
Mhm.
And the address and the information and the link to sign up are all on that events page, virtualbga.org/events. The next event is April 9th,
9th.
Rebecca, right?
10:30, April 9th.
This is Emily. Is that Emily? Yes, there
Yep,
she
Bhargava,
is.
yep.
And this is going to be a family workshop. Make
But
things
adults
with
are
your
welcome
kids.
without kids. Adults are
Yeah.
welcome without
Oh,
children.
God.
But
Yes,
children need to
adult-
have an adult with them.
And
So,
I would encourage any of you who are interested to find a child who you know, a neighbor, a grandchild, a child of your own, someone who likes making things and building things, and sign them up, sign yourselves up. You do not need experience with mosaic. We will be making, you'll have a choice when you come of what to make. You can make a piece of wall art, you can make a set of coasters, you can make a picture frame, and we'll be using a whole variety of different materials. It's fun to sort through and find the colors and the shapes that you love. We will not be grouting. So for those of you who know mosaic, we will just be sticking our pieces on and leaving with them that way. But it's going to be a blast, and the workshop is free. So please tell people, especially people who don't normally have an opportunity to take exciting hands-on art workshops.
Again, a wonderful opportunity to make
Yep.
something for Mother's Day or Father's Day or
Yep.
somebody's birthday or
Yes.
graduation.
so that
Um,
is part of our free community programming presented by the BGA. And so, and that's a 90-minute workshop, correct, Emily? Yeah, so from 10:30 to noon.
at
Yeah.
the BGA.
That is
Okay.
correct. And we have 20 spots, and I know at least a few of them are full already. So
Yes.
get your spot
Yeah.
soon.
There are definitely. It's filling up.
Here's a 6-year-old that will be coming.
Good.
The more the
Excellent.
merrier.
Excellent. And
So
I don't
then-
know if Ann said she was going to pop in, but she didn't know when, right? Is she here?
Oh, I'm here.
Oh,
Ann's here. So Ann Bausman's doing the next workshop, which is a meditative stitching workshop, which I wanted to hear more about. It's on the 23rd from, is it
10 to 1.
10 to 1.
10 to 1.
Mhm.
And I'm a bit regretful that I did not bring any samples. So can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. I just wasn't sure what was happening there. So when I heard about this show, I was like, I'm all over this. I'm one of those people who's always at the thrift stores looking for fabric, clothing to recycle. So it's absolutely in my wheelhouse. And I've done this meditative stitching at a couple of places in Arlington at the Art Center and Community Ed. And it's one of those things, no experience necessary. people were doing some very simple stitches. I bring loads of just fun, great fabric for people to work with and all the materials they need. And I hope to really sort of inspire people to really sort of go green, thinking about recycling themselves. And it's a wonderful thing that's very relaxing, very creative, very portable. And then I'm also hoping that, maybe people will do something to their jeans or their flannel shirts or make a pillow. So, hopefully I'll be able to sort of impart some of the tools and have a great day. So hopefully we'll see people there. I think, Dean, you said you were like 5 or 6 so far, so we still have space.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It sounds wonderful. It sounds like a lot of fun.
Yes, it will be. So thank you for hosting this.
Yes.
Absolutely. The last workshop is sort of a to be announced exactly when it will be, but it's our very own Naomi Ellenberg Dukas, who has beautiful jewelry in this show. I don't see her here. Naomi, did I just miss you?
I don't know if she's here yet.
Yeah, but Naomi got this wonderful idea. You'll see it in her piece. She makes beads out of ribbons, and there's a video of an English artist who started doing this that she wants to share, and then she has kits. It sounds wonderful. She's been sending me video clips and stuff, and it just looks delightful. So
we should mention that this would be in partnership with the Belmont Art Association.
Yes.
Naomi is the co-chair of, just the way Adine and I are. So Naomi and Dari Paquette are co-chairs of the Belmont Art Association. So this would be something that we would co-present with that organization.
Sylvia's got a question. Her hand is up. Unmute yourself first.
Hi, I am another member of the Bead Designers International with
Oh,
and I have my necklace that I made in the other room if you wanted me to grab it. If Naomi's not here, I can show people what the beads are like. If
Maybe during the Q&A after the
I can go get it later on and show.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay, sure, no problem.
Great.
okay.
So we've got a lot of good things going on. The best way to find out what things are happening is to stay tuned to our Instagram and our Facebook. And you can always check the events page, virtualbga.org/events.
And the e-blasts.
Rebecca will be sending out e-blasts, which are wonderful because they've got everything right there. So make sure you're on our mailing list. You can email her. It's admin@belmontgallery.org. I think now is a great time maybe but I don't know if is Betty Ann here? We can just start with somebody else.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Betty Ann Libby, had put first,
here.
but she's
here?
She's here?
I see her.
Oh, hello, Betty Ann.
I'm sorry, we hadn't quite gone as far as we thought we would. Give you a little more time, but Betty Ann's over on the West Coast, so it's wonderful of her to find the time to join us.
Thank you. And thanks for putting this together. Nice to see you, Adine and Rebecca.
Oh, look at the lovely sunshine and everything.
California.
Very nice. So, so Betty Ann is going to talk about a piece. She has 2 pieces in the show. One piece is in the gallery in Belmont, but the 2 pieces are in the virtual space. And she's going to talk about one of them today. And Betty Ann has been in several other BGA exhibits, and she's been an artist it was hard for me to even make, to really read. I had to read that a second time. She's been an artist for about 50 years. And she is a potter and a painter and a mosaic artist. And she is from this area, but she's out visiting family on the West Coast. And I'm just going to let Betty Ann just talk a little bit about her art making process and whatever she'd like to chat about for a few minutes. So thank you, Betty Ann.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Put my timer. Are you going to give me?
I prepared a slide for you, so I'll get that up and going. Go. Girl versus Gust.
Here we go. So this is one of my favorite pieces, and I'll just tell you a little bit how I started in mosaics. I was a potter for 35 years, hard to believe, but I just thought I made my own glazes, sprayed my colors, and did all this stuff that I didn't think was very healthy. So I was actually in a 60-car pileup on black ice, and I was going to a craft fair, and I had all these broken pieces. So I started incorporating them into my sculpture. And then I was invited to be in an exhibit, a benefit for Rosie's Place. And I really wanted to pile, and all potters have shard piles. So I put this image together, and wow, it sold, and I was so excited. And so then I decided to discover how really to do it the proper way. So a whole bunch of my mosaics are kind of my own mythology about strong women. And this particular one, Girl versus Gust, shows a girl who is struggling with the wind. The wind just came up, and there are huge drops of rain. And you can see the raindrops in the picture. And what they are is they're blown glass bowls from this guy that I know that knew me when I had my first pottery studio, and he was a little boy, and he used to be fascinated watching me. And he became a glass blower. So he gives me all his shards. So to make the raindrops, which I wish you could see in person because they're really three-dimensional, I put mirror under the raindrop. And that gives it a lot of depth. And so I like to use a lot of movement. So you can see the gust of the wind in there. And she's struggling, holding the umbrella. It's turned inside out. And her little dog is holding on for dear life on the other side. And in the bottom third of the image is a big puddle and her reflection in the puddle. So I don't always make my images obvious, but once you get to see it in person, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, so all my shards, I know a lot of potters, and so they all have shard piles, and whoopsie, people are constantly calling me up. I've got a box for you, or they drop things at my door. And so I call it ceramic shard mosaics. And I've been giving workshops for many years now. And by the way, I got this phone call once about 5 years after I made my very first mosaic. And this woman said, I bought your mosaic at the benefit, and I had it in my bathroom, and all the pieces fell off. And I said, so glad you called me, because I didn't know what I was doing. Glue on plywood with a smooth grout. So now I use hardy backer board, Wheatie board, and then I always use ceramic towel adhesive and sanded grout, which really holds all different widths of spaces together. Let me get a sip. So I just gave a workshop in California, which was a lot of fun. And I show a lot of images in the workshop. I teach about composition and color and light and grayscale. And I hope that they learn a lot when they do the workshop. And I try to get people to go outside of their comfort zone, use unexpected color, use unexpected little images, and just be very playful. I think it's really important to play with color and to play with images. And one person that I worked with at Children's Hospital, I did several commissions there, and she said to me, I want art that makes you want to get out of bed in the morning. And so that's, that line just resonates with me. And when I've done my community I'm sorry about the sirens. I can hear that going on. I told him not to come. I told him.
This your presentation is so hot.
So, yeah, so I just, when I was working with communities, and I've done projects with over 700 people, you know, some of them only have 12 people, but some of them, you know, people find such joy in making mosaics. And especially when I've done the workshops at Children's Hospital, you know, where families just drop in for a few minutes or half an hour, whatever it takes. And they could be people working at the hospital. I mean, everyone's invited to participate. And, you know, they just forget that they're sick or why they're there, you know, whatever sad thing is happening, because they get so engrossed in finding a space to put a particular piece. Or I believe truly that touching color makes you have endorphins. It makes you create endorphins and it makes you happy. So yeah, I'm addicted using color and making mosaics, and it's just a very joyous thing. And when there was a sage, Isaac Luria, who was around the 6th century, and he said when the universe was formed, it was a vessel, and the vessel shattered, and now we're putting back the pieces of the vessel, and that's it's healing we're trying to do. People and just have fun with it. You know, we need to have more fun in this world.
Betty Ann, could you also, I forgot to mention how you're the founder of Studios Without Walls. Could you just mention that as well?
Yeah, so Studios Without Walls, this is our 23rd year, and I used to do Brookline Open Studios. My studio is in my house, and I would get like 20 people, and then I'd go to the after party and they'd have like, you know, 200 or 300 people in these group studios. So I live near Allendale Farm, and I saw the farmer there, and he goes, well, they're gonna, JP Artists is gonna have open studio there. So why don't you come, because they need more people. Why don't you exhibit? So I said, great. So that's how we started. And that was in the fall of '98. And after we had it, I said, let's do it for Brookline artists in the spring. So we started doing that. And the first year we only had 4 sculptures, and they do site-specific sculpture. And I love doing stuff like that. And we've had about, I don't know, 75 or 85 artists over the years. And this year we're going to have 16 sculptures, and it's at the Riverway Park, which is across from the Longwood Tea Stop. And it's going to go all through summer through Labor Day. And it's the opening is May 28th. And it's free. So the whole thing is free. You just go there. You don't have to plan it. You just happen upon it. It's not like a gallery. You don't have to, it's not intimidating in any way, shape, or form. And it's for all ages. And we also do an art treasure hunt. So we have the artists make rhyming clues to go with their pieces, and there are maps and information boxes. So you just go by there, you take a map out, or you can use your phone and look at the QR codes and find out about the pieces. And I guess I like the rhyming treasure hunt because it gives people, makes them stop and have a conversation and try and figure things out. And it really engages people into the artwork. Yeah, do you want to show the other piece as well?
Oh, I don't, I just made this one slide, but
okay.
Sorry, it's in the virtual gallery.
And it's in person too.
It's yes, exactly.
It's at the BGA, yes.
Yeah, so, and I do a lot of, so I said I do a lot of women faces and mythology and, you know, all kinds of stuff. And I like to have people dancing, and I never use the same shards for eyes. I'm always finding them from different patterns. And that is the hardest part of the mosaic. These big mosaics take me a month to do. They're on a flat table. So thank goodness for the cell phone, because I can take a picture of them. And then sometimes when I stand them up after they're grouted, I go, well, something's wrong. And I get my drill out and take my pliers or my screwdriver and take a few pieces out. I'm not to go back.
Well, it's beautiful. I really hope maybe someday when you come back, maybe we could have a special day where Girl versus Gust can visit the gallery for people to see. I'd love to see the raindrops with the mirrors behind them.
That'd be nice. I'll be back in a few tomorrow, actually.
Oh, well, bon voyage. Safe travels.
If you want to just let me know.
Yeah, we will.
We'll be in
Thank you,
touch.
Betty Ann.
So our next artist who's going to be sharing is Agusta Agustsson. She is a fabric artist from Melrose. If you go back a little further, of course, Iceland is the source, but she first began making quilts when she was studying painting major at the Massachusetts College of Art. And she did silkscreen posters and that got local, national, and international attention at the graphic workshop, which you taught a class of people at the Belmont Library how to print on fabrics, which was just so great. But then you worked as a teacher for 25 years, and the MFA acquired a work of yours in 2017, and recently a beautiful Bits and Pieces quilt was hanging in the Museum of Fine Arts. Because I have to try and repost the video I saw of somebody's little girl. They were saying, now, don't touch this, don't do, now ask questions. And she goes over to Augusta's quilt, and it is Bits and Pieces. And the mother's like, no, go over there, because I said so. Anyway, I'll be posting that. Aside from the beautiful work in the show, which August is going to talk about, she also is working on a project called The Capital Steps, about women's rights and women's right to choose, which she's going to give us a little taste of. Augusta.
Okay, let's see.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm still sharing. Let me stop. I'm trying to stop. There you go. Yes, that works.
So these are the two pieces that I have in Bits and Pieces. As you can see, they're half of masks. When COVID first started, I took a lot of walks and people were hanging their used masks in the trees, which struck me as very odd. And so I was thinking about that, and I was also thinking about how much plastic waste we were creating during COVID. I mean, it just seemed like there were bins of plastic spilling out of everybody's recycle bins. So thinking about that, I thought back to a series of quilts I did about plastic in the ocean. And plastic is really seductive. It's so easy to use. It's, it seems like, oh, it doesn't cost anything and you can get rid of it, and no, we can't. And so the quilts are meant to draw you in until you realize these are plastic bags in here, and there's bottles there. Here's another one of my Plastic Sea series. And here I've got the straws put in. This one is in the embassy in East Timor for the next few years. And so thinking about all that plastic got me thinking about some of the plastic waste. So I took the gloves, and the Melrose mayor sent us all masks, which was very fortuitous. So I decided, well, I could print the masks and I could print the gloves And I could speak about both plastic waste and COVID at the same time. This one's called social isolation. And so like circles, they enclose things, but they also exclude things. So I thought a lot about that. And here's another one, and this one's called Pandemic. And you can see once again, the masks and the gloves play a big part. I print using a gelatin plate. So like this is a negative image. I put the mask on the plate, and when you print, all you get is whatever is not the mask. And sometimes the mask becomes permeated with ink. And like, see here, you could see the ink stuck on this part of the mask. And so it printed that. But most of the time I used the negative image. So up here, you can see one that was a positive image. And you can see how all the wrinkles in the gloves print. This is printing from the glove itself. And then this is the negative image of the glove. But right now, my passion is to get people to think about women's reproductive rights, because women are about to have their rights taken away. So I started this thing called the Courthouse Steps, and it's a pattern actually called the Courthouse Steps. You can see these white bands, and they're like the steps of the courthouse. And I was also thinking about signature quilts. The MFA had this big exhibit with all kinds of quilts. They had Courthouse Steps, a really beautiful one from Gee's Bend, and then they had a signature quilt about voting. So I took those two ideas together, and I thought, well, why can't we do a signature quilt, but instead of people's signatures, we'll have things about women's reproductive rights. So here are some high school students working on a quilt square. They wrote on the little pieces, and one of their classmates sewed it all together to make the square. I have so far 82 squares, and I'm hoping to get at least 100. And if at www.sewforrights.org, you can get complete directions on how to sew a square. And if you don't sew and you just have something you really need to say, you can also sign up through www.sewforrights.org and say what you want to say, and I will write it on a square that somebody else has made. So let's see. So you can see 2 of the quilt tops are finished. I have a 3rd one almost done, and I'm starting on the 4th. And so if you want to, just go to www.sewforrights.org, and everything is on there. A friend made the website for me, and it has everything you need to know. And we tested it, and everybody can use it. But I also am now in a bunch of shows. Tomorrow night, I have an opening in SOWA at Galatea. It's on 460B Harrison Avenue. And I have a whole series of quilts about my tree that had to get taken down because a big storm broke half of it off. And then I'm in 4 shows about the environment called Shared Habitat Earth at the Paula Esty Gallery, at the Coolidge Library in Brookline, at the Hopkinton Art Center, and in the Menino Art Center in Hyde Park. So I guess that's it.
It's fantastic. You're doing so much. It's a really exciting work, Augusta. Thank you for sharing it with us.
And
thank you for having your art in the show.
I think that exhibit's coming to the BGA in the coming year also, right?
We're talking with them about it. We're hoping the winter of 23.
Can I know we're going to do Q&A at the end, but one of the things I also wanted to ask is, one of the things about your work, Augusta, and I love it, is you have just incredibly rich, beautiful color in your work. So are you also the way Betty Ann was talking about, she's just drawn to color and sort of like the power of color? Is that something, you know, that you're addressing like environmental concerns and other, you know, issues, but you have this just beautiful, rich color in your work?
Well, I did start out as a painting major. So I really consider myself a painter in fabric. You know, I think of fabric the way a painter would think of, you know, how they block out on their painting, how you know, like, do you have depth? You know, so I think as a painter, that's why the color's so strong.
Just really beautiful.
Very
All right, thank
interesting.
you.
So
Okay.
our next artist tonight is Cynthia Brody. She's been an exhibiting artist for over 40 years. She studied at the Parsons School of Design and the New School in New York. She developed a self-taught style, which is a mixed media kind of a painting. It's got photos, acrylic paints, and found materials, and she uses them to create these sort of surreal images. A lot of her work is very powerful imagery and commentary about women. She has 3 pieces in the show that I really encourage you to go see them in person, because they look lovely in photographs, and I know Cynthia is going to explore them very carefully, but to be able to see them in person is really wonderful. So Cynthia, would you tell us more about your art?
Yeah, sure. First I wanted to say that I also have a piece called The Language of Trees. So I think that's interesting.
Ooh.
All right, so these pieces look somewhat different than a lot of my other work. My parents were both Holocaust survivors, and for a very long time, I didn't really think it was appropriate for me to make pretty art. So I didn't. And then in about 1994, I got an idea to start collecting the work of writers and artists on the subject of the Holocaust. And 7 years later, I was able to get this book published called Bittersweet Legacy: Creative Responses to the Holocaust. And in it are 75 artists and writers, none of whom I knew before. I didn't even own a computer. I mean, I ran an ad, you know, just asking people to send me stuff, and then I started getting a lot of great stuff. But anyway, so the piece, 2 of the 3 pieces that are in the show are on this subject. And I chose to show these subjects because they are made with found materials. I mean, I like combining materials all the time, but I was really responding to the found materials thing. So I have to now go to share content. And let me just check off what I'm doing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I think I got it. Done. All right. So this piece is called Many Ways to Tell the Story. And so the story behind the story is that there's only one photograph of my father and his family from before the war. And so, you know, this, and I don't have a pointer on here, I'm using my iPad, but you can see the central figures there. My grandmother, my father and his brothers, and I think my grandfather was in there too. But I may not have him there because he actually died before the war. So it might have been after him. But what I did was, it was very early in my messing around with art apps of any kind. It was I didn't even have a computer when I started all this. So it was a very basic art program, and I just would ghost out. I decided I would ghost out the people who died. And in this case, I ghosted out my grandparents and two of the brothers, and then I left sort of solid my father, which is the young boy on the left, and his brother, because they survived. And then this one, there's 6 or 7 different variations on a theme here. This one has the whole family with my father with a sort of a wound on his chest, and then to the right are my sister and then me, the gawky looking one on the right, with the inherited wound on this one. And then I also typed up and incorporated into the piece things, thoughts that I had as a child, and things that my parents said to me as a child. So this one was, don't believe it if your non-Jewish friends tell you that they like you. Our friends told us that, and they turned us in. So this is heavy duty stuff, and it was absolutely heavy duty for a child, but it's the theme of this piece. This one I incorporated into the trees. Cynthia, you worry too much. Never forget. I cannot turn off the nightmares or the fear. Who will save me? How will I ever be safe? Cannot forget. So these were thoughts that were in my head. And when I asked my parents, why don't I have grandparents? My parents were not very psychological minded. And so my mother just flat out said, because the Nazis killed them. And I said, why did they kill them? And she said, because they were Jews, as if that was an explanation. And then, in parentheses, but I'm a Jew. So, this was like the beginning of my neurotic, anxious life, which started pretty young. And then this one says 1955, the intercom phone rings in my classroom, parentheses, my parents must be dead. So I realized this is all like heavy duty, very personal stuff here. But it's just, I'll go back to the whole of the piece. So that's all interwoven. You have to really kind of look for that stuff. And then the piece itself is somebody gave me a copper roof and a slate roof from Massachusetts veterans housing that had been dismantled. And so, what better material to put this all under than the roof that the veterans actually lived under, who fought the war and freed my family, and lots of other people. So, yeah, there's a downer for your evening, but that's what this piece is about. And that's it.
It's such a moving piece. Thank you for sharing it with us. I can't imagine that it's very easy, and I appreciate that gift. It is there are many ways to tell the story, and you told it again tonight to us.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have, I made a series of work to put into my own anthology. And so there, maybe 5 pieces or something like that. And then when it all got published and everything got done, I did all the exhibitions based on the art of the book. I said, okay, I'm done. And now I can make pretty art. And so now I do.
You do. It's beautiful. It's very moving. It's and just the way these are too. I particularly love the piece that's in the show. The Women I Would Have Loved, or what is it called exactly?
Yeah, Women I Would Have Loved. And that one is focused on the women in my family who died.
It's a lovely tribute.
Thank you.
So please go into the gallery and see that. You can also see it in the virtual gallery, but like I said, in person, very moving work, Cynthia. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So Rebecca, who do we have next? Oh, you're muted, honey.
I think it's Ann Cummings. Am I right? Is Ann here?
Ann is the next one on the list, but I don't know if she is here.
I don't know if she's here. So we may have to just jump ahead. I don't know if Ruth is here.
Ruth is here.
Ruth is here. Hello, Ruth.
Here. Hello.
Hello.
So,
Howdy.
so I don't see you, but I know you're there. So Ruth has a really powerful piece in the show that a lot of people have commented on. And I don't know if do we want to show the image before she starts talking, or?
I believe Ruth is going to show us.
Yeah, I
Okay,
can-
she's going to show it. Sorry, Ruth. So
No, that's
Ruth has actually been in some previous BGA exhibits. I actually think going back to the first few years that we were open. So we've been around almost 17 years. So she has been in a number of shows. And I just want to mention the previous show called Nourish that Ruth had a striking piece called Blue Plate Special. That was this amazing, huge, big round canvas with two fish painted on it. And when I was chatting with Ruth, when she dropped it off in the fall, she had mentioned to me that she paints fish. It's a common theme in a lot of her work, which I found really interesting and fascinating. I know she's painted many other things that do not include fish, but there is something about fish, again, as a sort of a theme among a lot of her pieces. And I know that this collage work was based on a painting of yours as well, Ruth. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, the inspiration for this piece, and how you actually put it together?
Sure. I was educated, I got my BFA at BU. And so a lot of the focus was on the figure. So I have painted the figure for years and years. But, so I always loved the figure, but I'm also really drawn to fish. At the same time that I went to grad school at BU, I was working in a restaurant that cooked a lot of fish. And so, in the kitchen, they would have like buckets of fish heads. And I would say, to the cook, oh, can I take these home so I can paint them? She's like, sure. And everyone thought it was kind of weird. And my parents were very unhappy that I was really into this phase of painting buckets of dead, bloody fish. I'd go to Haymarket and take pictures, of buckets of fish there. But they all sold. Go figure. People like dead fish. Who would have thunk? So, that was really quite a while ago that I was really into fish. And then recently I kind of got back into it with the Blue Plate Special series. And then I sort of hit a wall a few years ago where I was just feeling stuck with what I wanted to do. And I'm going to just show you, painted this painting. Also called She Dreamt of Fish, which was inspired by my daughter, who had just taken a shower, when she was young, and was laying on the bed, and she's given me her approval to share this stuff, just so you know. And I said, oh my gosh, don't move. And I ran and got my camera. And then I started working with this image and kind of combining my two loves of the figure and the fish. And then, as I said, I sort of got in a rut with paintings. So I started doing ink drawings. And as I was doing this one on a large piece of paper, I don't know, something just spoke to me. And I was like, oh, I want to put collage into it. And so I had a stack of old newspapers. So I started ripping up all the color photos in old globes. And I would use them as my color palette. And there was something really, really freeing about being able to do that. And also it seemed to lend itself well to this whole fish figure thing. So I can show you actually a few just from the series. I go figure. I don't know why. Women and fish. They're all sensual. That's a detail from one that I had started. And this is just to show you like how I begin. I begin with a sketch and then I start applying pieces of paper. And this is a detail from one. Sometimes I use just newspaper. For this one, I was using some old books that had been gifted to me. You can see these are all jellyfish. So I'm still into the nautical theme. And this one also is called Emergence. And this was also inspired by my daughter. I did a sketch of her. And I just love the kind of dreamy aspect of her look, and then the light hitting it, hitting her face that way. And I don't know, I just thought of just how we emerge, you know, from the depths of things. So, yeah, so I just find that the themes of fish and figures really lend itself well to kind of exploring different concepts that are meaningful to me, and then throw in collage, and I'm a happy camper. So yeah, that's how it all evolved.
Ruth, it's Rebecca. Can I
Yeah.
ask, the piece that's in the gallery, how long did it take you to complete that piece? Because it's quite large.
I will go back to that. Yeah, it took quite a while, although I have to say, Rebecca, when I get into kind of an art
zone?
frenzy, you know, yeah, well, it's more like a little bit of frenzy. Like I'm just, it's funny, the sketch itself, the ink study, I did in a day, but then the collage, it evolved slowly in the beginning because it was my first one and I wasn't sure what I was trying to say. And then once I started going, again, it was just kind of a frenzy where I was really into playing with ripping up the old newspaper and playing with the color palette. And so it probably took, I don't know, maybe a month or two. I'm never quite aware of time when I'm working, but yeah, that's my guess.
It's amazing. It's wonderful. This is another one, to see it in person, to see all those small pieces of paper that, you know, that you applied. I mean, it was, when you told me what you had done, I was just really amazed by it.
Well, if you ever visit my studio, Rebecca, you'll still see remnants of, you know, all the little paper. I mean, I've tried to get rid of it, but it's, yeah, when I'm doing collage, it's everywhere. So, as I'm sure
It's like
the rest
having a
of you.
giant pet that sheds collage fragments.
Yes, that's exactly it.
A giant collage pet. This is, I just love these sort of arbitrary moments in your life that inspired you, but then come together to form this theme of emergence. Or, I mean, it just, I remember the first time I saw this, it's perfect. It makes sense. And that's before the brain engages. The brain engages and goes, now what's going on? And it's like, oh, shut up, brain. It's beautiful. It's just beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for sharing with us.
My pleasure. All right, I'm gonna stop that and free it up. Okay.
So we're still hoping that Ann Cummings has come to join us, but maybe she hasn't.
No, and she's
Could
from,
be. Ann lives in Vermont.
yeah.
And she actually made the trip all the way down 3.5 hours to drop off her work for the gallery. It's in the gallery. Again, wonderful to see all the details of little paper. Rebecca, you had a lot of email conversations back and forth with her.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering if we should show one of the pieces, because if she's not here, it might be interesting just to, I mean, I can
it
talk
down
just briefly
Oh, here,
about.
I can just, yeah, go ahead and talk, and I'll pull up the virtual BGA and share it.
So Ann Cummings, actually, when Adine and I first put out the call, she was the very first person who sent an email to say, this is, again, you know, this is exactly what I do. I'd like to get more information, et cetera. You know, I live in Vermont. Is that an issue? And I said, no, because we have a virtual gallery and we accept work actually from all over the country in the virtual space. And then she sort of, you know, she wasn't sure she could make the deadline and so on. So I encouraged her to really, you know, think about it. And she is you know, she actually describes herself as an eco artist. And when Adine and I, you know, saw the submissions, we said, yes, you know, this is something that's quite wonderful. And these are fairly large as well. You can see the dimensions. They're the first, they're on, like, when you first walk into the gallery, they're on the long wall. They're among the first pieces that you see. So Anne, I'm just going to read from some of her own information. It's pretty brief here. So it says that Anne Cummings is a Vermont eco artist. She creates work from recycled, reused, and repurposed materials. So that's why she said this show is for me. Anne makes art that minimizes its impact on the environment and educates the viewer about environmental issues. She creates from her conviction to use eco art to affect change. So, and you can see again, it's primarily paper collage. She has 3 pieces depicting women. Yes, so this is the goddess. The first one was the gardener, and then there's also the hiker. And also, again, beautiful use of color, really rich, intense color that I was really drawn to when I saw these. And so I am hoping that she will be able to join us. She had said she would be here tonight. So of course, she can speak, more personally about her work and her art making process and so on and so forth. But as I said, she was one of the, if not, I'm pretty sure she sent the first email, not even to say that she was going to submit something, but she said, I wanted to get more information because, again, this seems like it was made just for the kind of art that I'm making. And one of the things that's interesting, of course, is that there are a number of strong women artists here represented, and also the images that are in the show. There's a strong female component to the work, which of course is always makes me happy to see that. So I would encourage, you can see Anne's pieces in the virtual space, but if you are able to come by the BGA to see it in person, I would encourage you to do that as well. So should we open it up to,
I was just going to say, I think Naomi is here.
Oh, Naomi's here now. Good.
I saw her at some point. Are you here, Naomi? Maybe she left us again.
Oh, okay. Oh, hi, Paula.
Hi, Paula. Is Sylvia, are you still here? If you wanted to show that.
Hi, no, Naomi is here, but Naomi, unmute yourself.
Oh, she's okay.
Maybe she just stepped away. Yes,
no, she's right there, but
yeah,
she's still muted.
she may have stepped away.
No, I can see her, but
yeah. She's I just see her.
Naomi, you have to unmute.
Naomi, you're muted.
Naomi.
She's
She's
trying.
She's pretty savvy with this stuff, so I'm surprised she doesn't realize.
Oh, there it is.
There she is.
Sylvia, is that you?
Hello, Naomi.
Hi.
Your friend Sylvia is here. There she is, right? Okay.
Oh, and I asked Jody to come too. A couple of people. Yeah. Oh, great.
Wonderful. Well, we were hoping you could tell us a little bit more about your ribbon beads, which is going to be a workshop. We're not exactly sure when and all the details, but I was trying to explain a little to people before you got here, and I can see you're wearing them.
Right. So there's an artist, a fabric artist who works with Coffee Facette. Sylvia, did I pronounce it correctly?
I've heard it pronounced a couple of ways, calf facet and cafe facet, so I'm not sure.
He's incredible, actually.
An international, incredible international fabric artist. And we had Janet Haig works with him. She's very famous, I guess, a lot of places, I don't know, but she works with him. She published a few books with him and so forth. And so she came to Bead Designer International and taught us how to make ribbon beads out of ribbon and felt. And there was I feel sort of a little bit, everybody had these great meanings. This is just frivolous. It has no deeper meaning for strong women or wars or anything like that. It's just plain old frivolous.
Were you here when Betty Ann was talking about being able to touch color and how it gave you endorphins?
Yes.
There you go.
I am a color crazy person. I have to say. But anyway, so she has these kits, and these are some of the ribbons, and you don't really have instructions per se, although I was reviewing her video this afternoon because I recorded when she taught, but can you see the fabrics and the colors and so
Yes,
forth? Anyway, they're
beautiful.
extraordinary. That's all I can say. And she also has a video. So I'm hoping maybe if Rebecca and Nadine can fit it into the schedule, her video is a tour of her house near the English Channel. And the first part is where she shows her house and the creativity in her house. And actually, for people who are fans of Escape to the Chateau, the wallpaper in the foyer of Escape to the Chateau is like a harlequin of antique wallpapers. And the wallpaper in the room that Janet Hayes shows you, it's the same harlequin design, but it's fabrics from Café Facette, and she dyed them in tea to make sure they were the muted colors that matched to the heather and the landscape of her garden. And her husband's a painter, and she has this team she works with. One's from England, but the other one is Ilaria, is from Italy. And so the team taught at Bead Designer International how to make these ribbon beads. And it's really, you make whatever creativity brings to the fore. And so everybody in our group, all of the ribbon beads came out differently. And so I'm hoping that maybe on a Thursday night, we could show Janet Hayes' video of her house and then her studio. And she sews metal. She takes pieces of metal, scrap metal, and she has this huge like machine that somebody gave her where she puts stuff in the oven. And you'll see, she shows you through her whole studio, and then she shows you the ribbon beads. And so if people are interested, I would bring the video, maybe the BMC can help me edit it out, because we had a few technical difficulties because they were in the middle of a huge storm. And they were actually getting nervous that they were going to be blown out of the house, I think. So they were talking about that, and the video went down a couple of times. But if we can edit it, if not, I'll just fast forward. But I'd be happy to if people are interested. The kits contain a lot. You get little bamboo. Oh, actually, I have a bunch of kits. You know what? I'll get them and show them to you, because we ordered extras because we love them so much. Hold on.
Sounds fascinating. And this woman in England is a real character, and her house and all the drawers and her beautiful studio. And I mean, that would be a wonderful tour in and of itself.
So these are the kits. And
Naomi, can I ask a question? Would you be teaching people how to do this, or they would?
I'm gonna run the video and teach. Yes, I
Okay.
love it.
So that would be the
Actually,
workshop that you
I'm
would be.
asking, I'll see if somebody from the group also wants to come. But the kits all have the ribbon, the felt, the rollers, everything you need to create fabulous ribbon necklaces. And as I said, no two are alike. So
So that would be a workshop that you're teaching that would be at the BGA.
right.
Part
If
of
you
bits
want,
and
if you
pieces.
want, I don't know if people are interested or not, but I loved it.
Well, definitely, let's say if you're interested, send us an email,
Yeah.
and then we can know that people would sign
I'm
up. I would sign
interested.
up if I were
Oh,
there.
we already have somebody.
Who was that?
Lauren Palmer said she wants to do it.
Oh, your check is in the mail.
I'd like to do it too. This is Emily.
Oh, Emily wants to do it too. Okay.
It's really, really fun. I have to say, every single person who took the class, I think Sylvia was in the class. Sylvia, do you feel everybody really liked it?
2-1. Yeah, it was just remarkable. And the nice thing that I think also fits into the theme, I'm new, it's my first meeting, but it sounds like you're talking about, a lot of people were talking about reuse and
Yes.
upcycling. And I ran with this, and I have like buckets, I think a lot of you do, of scraps of fabric and ribbon. And I
What
tore
Agusta does.
a seed catalog and made, paper beads as well, because I was inspired by this on the different plants and things, colors that sort of coordinated to, and I think you can learn the technique if it's not something you already know and really take it in many different directions. And it's just was so much fun, and she's a riot if you get to watch her work in person.
Sylvia,
She
can we see
really
your
is a
necklace?
riot. And
Sylvia
the
said
best
she had a
part-
necklace.
Pardon me?
Can we see Sylvia's necklace?
Oh, I'll go get it while Naomi's
Okay.
talking. Sure.
Okay.
The best part about it is that she does all this because they're all cutoffs or scraps of ribbon that would normally get thrown away. And she challenged herself to come up with an idea. But when you see her other work, the way she sews metal pieces together and tiles, and she weaves, and she takes fabric and she pulls out thread and makes, designs out of the pulled out thread. The video is great. The ribbon beads are fun. She's just a really talented person.
Very inspiring.
Yeah.
Yes, she really is.
I may just have to come down.
You have to do it. So here's one that I don't know if you can wrap it with wire and beads.
Oh, yes. Okay.
There are other, I did sort of a couple of patchwork. Naomi, were you talking about how she uses the ribbon from the reverse side?
Oh, I didn't talk about that, but wait, I can show you.
So I was just going to say that I did that also. Since it's jacquard, I think it's a jacquard weave, and it looks really cool on the back side of it. The ribbons are gorgeous, but you can use the back side as well. And I call it my hairy beads because they fray very nicely. One person in the class was concerned, it's going to fray. And she said, well, we have ways of dealing with that. And she talked about it, but then I got to doing it, and I was cutting the ribbons in strips, and I just really liked the way they fray, and I went with that. So everyone has their own, but this is my bead necklace.
Fun. Well, I think we're
it's a lot of
signing
fun.
you up.
Right.
It doesn't have to fray. It's optional. You sew the bead. This bead.
Naomi doesn't like the fray.
No, I do. I like it. But this bead and this bead, they're the same bead. And one is the inside and one is the outside.
Oh,
yeah.
they're lovely. They're really
It's gorgeous. It's the fabrics are wonderful.
But you have to use jacquard ribbons to
do that. Yeah. But so this is, I don't know if you showed samples of the ribbon and the felt that comes with it, but so I haven't used all of my supplies
Karen
yet.
McCarthy, did you have a question about the beads?
I was just wondering, thanks, Adine. Naomi, did you mention the woman's name? I know you
Janet
mentioned
Hay.
And
Haigh. She has a website. She has 2 books, or I think a couple of books actually. You'll see she tells you everything she's produced in the video. I mean, seriously, I think if we show the video, people will find her pretty impressive.
Yeah, sounds great.
Definitely
Thanks.
Keep an eye out, virtualbga.org/events.
Yeah, I think that we're going to decide on the date in the next, in the next day. And then
Maybe
we'll start,
it could be a Thursday, the 7th. I was saying the 7th or the 14th. Is that possible?
We will.
We'll figure it out, and we'll let everybody in the community know when it's going to take place.
Right.
So we've seen a lot of wonderful art, and I'm sure people probably have questions for the artists, for the people running the workshops. I wanted to open up the floor for questions. You can raise your hand, or you can simply unmute and dive in. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
I actually have a question for Karen McCarthy. So Karen, Adine and I love the, I don't know if I want to say the support, like the piece that you have in the show. It has this really amazing, I guess it's like your textile work it's also, I guess, some kind of fabric, right? That did you like, or is it canvas that you like? We were really fascinated how you did that. And I love the shape. And I believe it's featured prominently on the main wall when you come into the gallery.
I think so,
And-
yeah.
And
And,
so how did you do
share
that?
it.
I know we don't have an image of it, but
I'm just getting that for you, I
Okay.
hope. Dean's
Thanks.
struggling to try and find it, but go ahead, Karen, and tell us about it.
It's so that's an unusual, that was one of the first pieces I've done with an organic shape on the outside edges. Occasionally the elements that I use have the organic shaping to them, but typically I do pieces that are square and rectangular, and I mount them on panel or canvas. So this particular piece, I just wanted to break out from that for a little while, and so I got some wood
Here we go.
wood
There it is, yeah.
paneling. There it is. Yeah, that is like a compressed kind of wood. So it's about a 1/4 inch deep, and you can. And my husband was able to cut this form for me, and then the collage itself is made of papers that I have painted and printed on. And I build up layers of imagery with gelatin printing and stenciling and freehand printing and painting and so on, and colored pencil. And here you can see a little bit more of the angle dimension. So then behind the panel is another wood panel that's like 1.5 inches deep. So, and it's just a smallish square, and that's glued to the back of the wood panel. So this allows it to hang kind of in space from the wall.
Yes,
It gives
yes,
it a
mhm.
different kind of presence, and allows for, you can see some shadowing of that outer shape as well. So
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Thanks.
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you.
Thanks for including it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Well, it's lovely. It was fun to see something of yours that was so recognizable as yours, but different.
Yes.
But very different. Yeah. Yeah.
Did
Thanks.
anyone else have a question for an artist or a comment?
No comments, no
I
questions?
I have a comment that you
Oh,
mentioned
hi.
earlier.
Hi, Jerry.
Hello. Hi, earlier you mentioned Agusta's workshop at the library. Feels like 100 years ago, but I did that and I just loved it. And something I would love to do is learn more about how to do some of this gel printmaking stuff, except I'd have to get my jelly plates back from my daughter who absconded with them. but anyway, that was lovely. And I haven't made it over in person to see the show yet. I've only seen it virtually. But I can't wait to get over there and see it in the flesh. So.
Yeah. No, the response has been very positive. It's people are, at the beginning of the reception, we were chatting about that, and yeah, the feedback has just been wonderful. And as I said, I think when Dean and I were talking earlier today, I think that people are also enjoying some of the three-dimensional work, which, some other shows we have three-dimensional work, but I think there's something about this particular show, and it feels very full and very vibrant when you're in there. And I did give Richard a lot of credit at the top of the reception, because he's the one that got everything displayed in a beautiful way. So very grateful to him for that.
Well, I just love the variety, and to have Naomi's beads and the sculpture and the embroidery and the collage and the mosaic. I think it's terrific. It's really great. So good job.
Thank you, my dear.
Wonderful. Yes, it is. It's wonderful to see all the different languages of art. It's a show where you could really find something that catches your attention, and I love particularly Amy Marks's heart, which I think has caught the attention of a lot of people
Yes.
who have walked into the gallery and saw it across the room and they beeline straight for it. I don't know if Amy, did you use some sort of a form to start building the mosaic on? Are you still with us, Amy? Maybe Amy had to go.
Yeah.
It's
I don't
so
know.
striking. It really hits you the minute you come into the room. It's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
The shape of it, the three-dimensionality of it, the way the mosaic washes around it. It's just delightful. I had a lot of fun in February. Magnusson Bert's show was still up in the gallery, but I was sort of previewing and stuff for this show, and that was the thing that I used on Valentine's Day. It was just wonderful.
All right, so maybe we've got a few more minutes left. Maybe we should just remind people about the workshops that are coming up, because these are the first in-person events that we've had at the BGA in a few years. Because, we were closed to in-person activities up until the fall of the Nourish show. And now we feel like we can have more events, community events in the gallery. So we heard from the artist earlier. Amy has her event that is in her studio in Waltham. That is this Saturday, right, Adine?
Yep, I'm just pulling up the screen so you can see it. Here we go. Here we are, March 31st, but
right,
April
and-
2nd,
right.
Mosaic Mirrors workshop with Amy Lou Marks. There's more details here. One-day hands-on workshop. These beautiful mirrors. They look like something you would go to a wonderful craft fair and you would buy for $75, $100 or something, but it's your own. It's just wonderful. And just over the border in Waltham. And then on April 9th, Emily's Family Mosaic Workshop. As you said, do you like to make things? Emily, are you still here?
I'm here. Yep.
I just wanted to tell you, I love the photographs. You have those wonderful sort of dip dishes, and in the various compartments where you'd normally have chips or vegetables or things, the dip in the center, you've got all the little bits and pieces for the workshop. It's just so much fun.
Yeah, I like to call it a mosaic buffet.
Yes.
So it's going to be a lot of fun. You should all come and join us.
It sounds great. I wish I still had little kids in my life.
You can come without them.
I know, I'm the little kid in my life right now.
Yeah. And I will say most of my work is with people of all ages. So this is not, even though this is appropriate for kids, it's going to be fun for anyone who comes. So
My daughter has enough personality for 2 people. So if anyone wants to share.
Oh, me. And then the last one on the list is the meditative stitching with Ann Bausman. Ann gave us a little idea about what the stitching is about, and the idea that you could stitch something on denim or a pillowcase or whatever, that it's very relaxing and very accessible. I don't know if you're still there, Ann.
I think she may have left.
Ann does have a couple pieces in the show.
Yes.
There, as you walk in the gallery, they're all straight across near Amy's heart.
Yes.
These beautiful little fabric pieces that you really have to get up close and look at the little details. So it's just great.
And we should also remind people that we are now open on Saturdays as well as Sunday afternoons. And we've had a good turnout of visitors both days, because we typically we've only been open on Saturdays for particular shows in the past. And so we thought, let's try again. We've been closed to the public, for a long time. So let's see what happens on Saturdays. But we've had, as I said, a steady stream of visitors I think it's only been 2 Saturdays we've been open so far. And people, we have artists who are gallery sitting. So you show up and you
Oh,
get a
yes.
chance
Thank
to
you
bring-
so much to the artists who are
Yes.
gallery sitting. Let me see. I'm going to pull up. Who do we have? Let's see. This weekend at the BGA, we have Carol Wintle and Lauren Palmer Merrill on
There she
Saturday,
is.
1 to 4. And then on Sunday, April 3rd, from 1 to 4, we have Ruth Lieberherr and Susan Massad. I think Susan's here. She has her beautiful lotus art that's on the main wall.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
So I mean, it gives you a chance to chat with an artist directly. And so we try to let people know, right, who's going to be there on a particular day so they can, go and say hello and, and the artist can actually walk you through the space if you want to learn more about particular pieces, et cetera. So I think we're very pleased at the reception we've gotten in general to the show, and the fact that a number of people are coming out to see the work in person has been really gratifying.
It is. I know that if Ottavio is still here, he has a couple very unusual pieces in the show. Ottavio makes these beautiful sculptures out of metal. I never know what's going to happen next. You have such a wonderful imagination. And I would like to say thank you to Ottavio was in the gallery helping out Bert and Magnus with the last show. So thank you so much for, there's Bert with a thumbs up. It takes a village to make a gallery. But Ottavio, tell us about your bell.
Oh, there he is. Hello.
Hi. How's your hand there, Rebecca?
Well, it's healing. We'll say
healing.
that. It's healing. Yes.
Well, this time I want to make my contribution interactive. And you're supposed to go there and ring the bells. They are safe. They will not fall down. And I like to hear them. I like,
There's 2 bells. That's right.
The 2 bells. The big one is a helium tank, which I found on the street just a week before. There it is. And so I decided to cut it and put it down there, and it really works. And I don't know what to do after I take it home because it's too big, and I have so much stuff in the garden that I can't use it for anything. And the other one is a bowl, a stainless steel bowl, which has been outside for a while, for over a year. And I decided to contribute that. But because of the war, I decided to repurpose it.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, I call it the call to arms. Because in the old days, when the communication was not very good, the church bells used to call the citizen to arm and fight the enemy, fight the intruder. And so I decided to call it the call to arms. And so if you ring the bell, you answer the call.
Ottavio, people are ringing the bells. When they're coming in, they are ringing the bells.
I'm glad to hear that. Yes.
Oh, now, if anybody whose gallery is sitting, or Rebecca, if you or Stephen are there, if you could take a video of somebody ringing Ottavio's bells, that would make a wonderful Instagram post. And, it's a call to art, right?
That's right.
Rally the truth.
It's very timely. And I was very emotional when I was doing it, because the hearts and the colors developed. Took me about several days to bring it to the level it is now. Even the name and the description, the script of it. I mean, this was a very emotional involvement, because I remember the Second World War, and I know what the Ukrainians are going through. Okay, it's painful, very painful, and so I decided to call it the call to arms. Let's get together and fight the enemy.
Yes. Well, it's
so many wonderful stories in the gallery every time we have a show.
Yes.
Wonderful stories.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the story of the call to arms. And
Yes.
I'm very happy that Richard put it in a very prominent place there
Yes.
by the table.
Yes, right
So
by
it's
the
ve-
desk, right
It's
by the
very,
desk.
very visible. Yes, I noticed that.
Yes.
Yeah, Richard is a good man. He knows how to arrange stuff.
Richard is a good man.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of good men, I don't think we had a chance to make a call out to Stephen, Rebecca's husband, who has been taking up everything that she can't pick up because of her arm, and he definitely has been the man at the moment.
Yes. He
He
likes
did a lot of
he
help.
likes visiting the gallery and seeing friends there and chatting with people like Naomi. So yes, thank you. So we're just about we're almost at the end of our time.
Last
Does anybody
chance.
have, questions,
Anyone
comments?
had a question or ideas for another show? Not that we'd ever run out of those.
I'm just going to put a little teeny tiny plug in we are going to be doing the nesting project, which was delayed last year because there was another surge with COVID. Kirsten Ilse, who I don't think is here tonight, she has volunteered. She's an artist and very involved with the BGA, that she would be the coordinator of this. So if you're interested in painting a birdhouse that we're going to have displayed primarily in the woodland garden by the library, just get in touch with the gallery. We have a number of them. I forget how many we ordered, Dean, but I think like over 70 or something, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Are you
just let
talking
us
about
know.
bird houses? Did you say
Yes.
bird houses?
Yes, Ottavio. You can paint
You
one.
can paint them.
You can paint them. Or do you have any bird sculptures? Maybe we could include them.
Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah. All right, we'll be in touch about
I
that.
have fish, I have
Oh,
birds. I have a big fish now. It's called Nemo. Not the
Oh,
one I
yes.
exhibited.
Oh, I remember Nemo.
Yes.
That you and Ruth should get together and
Yes.
see if you can do some sort of a good fish show.
Yeah, I got two fish.
That would be really
And,
cool.
I have a
actually.
few. I have a few bird houses. Yeah, I have one bird house which is original design. Yes.
So
And
we
then-
will be in touch with you, but we'll be in touch with you anyway, because you're
you
one of
will.
our
Please
friends.
do.
So,
Please do.
okay, so I think that might be kind of is that a wrap? Is there anything else? We just want to thank everybody again,
Yeah.
for being here tonight, for being, for participating in the show, which is a wonderful show. And we wouldn't have the gallery without the artists, we work with. So thank you so much for helping to support the BGA and being a part of this really amazing community.
And Julie DeStefano is on the other side, right?
Actually, it's Matt
No,
tonight.
Matt.
Everybody, 3 cheers for Matt.
Matt, thank you,
all right,
Matt,
Matt.
and thank you to the Belmont Media Center. We couldn't do this without their help, their partnership. So thank you so much. And it will be available in a week or two. The recorded version, which Adine and I will let people know how they can access that. And you'll get to watch it all over again.
We actually have a YouTube channel with all
Yes.
kinds of wonderful artist talks and shows and things. So I'll post about it again. You can find a link already in the post that I've already done, I'm sure. So thank you, everybody. What
Thank
a
you,
wonderful
everybody.
evening.
Thank you.
And we'll let you know if we're going to do an in-person event, a reception towards the end of April.
All right, ciao.
All right,
Ciao.
ciao. Good night,
Bye,
everybody.
thanks.
Thank you.
Take care.
Great.
You guys are
Bye.
amazing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.